In the dry heart of the Egyptian desert where the wind howls like ancient ghosts, and the sun scorches the sand into glass, a mystery has endured for over 2 millennia. A mystery so vast, so chilling, and so impossible that even today historians and scientists struggle to explain it. It is the story of an entire army. 50,000 trained, armed men, who vanished without a trace. No bones, no weapons, no camps, no witnesses. Just sand and silence. The legend begins in the reign of the Persian king Cambyses II, son of Cyrus the Great. After conquering Egypt in the 6th century BC, Cambyses became obsessed with securing his rule over the entire region, including the far reaches of the western desert where the Oracle of Amun resided. The oracle was feared and respected, believed to speak the will of the gods. Cambyses, angry that the priests refused to acknowledge his divine right to rule, decided to destroy them. Not with messengers or diplomacy, he dispatched a force of 50,000 soldiers, led by experienced commanders, across the barren wastelands toward the Siwa oasis. It was a calculated mission: destroy the oracle, assert divine supremacy, and strike fear into all who opposed him. The army was prepared. Supplies, guides, and even engineers to build shelters. Yet, once they crossed into the desert, they were never seen again. Herodotus, the Greek historian, wrote that after 7 days of marching, the army reached a point deep in the desert. There, a sudden and violent sandstorm, unlike anything ever witnessed, swept over them. The wind roared, the sand rose like walls, and in the blinding chaos, the entire army was swallowed by the earth. No survivors, no cries, just stillness. But this explanation, while poetic, left many questions unanswered. How could such a massive force disappear without a single clue? Skeptics argued that Herodotus' tale was based on hearsay, written long after the events. Still, no alternative theory has ever fully explained the mystery. Some say they turned back and were ambushed. Others claim they defected or were consumed by internal revolt. Yet none of these possibilities account for the complete lack of remains. Centuries passed, and the mystery deepened. Expeditions were launched to find evidence of the army. Bones, armor, weapons, anything. The desert, however, remained silent. Every attempt ended in failure. Some searchers vanished themselves, as if the sands guarded their secret with jealous rage. In the 20th century, new interest was sparked when satellite imagery and desert radar scans hinted at unusual disturbances beneath the dunes. In one area, excavation attempts began but were thwarted by harsh conditions, equipment failures, and in one case, a violent sandstorm that destroyed the entire camp. Despite these setbacks, whispers of the army's remains continued to echo through academia. Some believe that the soldiers may have stumbled upon a forbidden place, a sacred zone protected by ancient curses. Others proposed more terrestrial explanations: quicksand, sinkholes, or even seismic activity. But none can fully account for the silence, for the eerie stillness that surrounds the region even today. The desert is ancient. It remembers everything, and yet it holds its secrets tighter than any tomb. The tale of the vanished army became more than a historical curiosity. It turned into legend, myth, and obsession. Scholars, adventurers, and treasure hunters alike have risked everything to solve the riddle of the lost Persian soldiers. What makes the mystery so haunting is the sheer scale of the disappearance. An army of 50,000 cannot simply vanish. Even with the passing of centuries, the dry desert climate, known to preserve artifacts and even human remains, should have left behind evidence. But the sand remained silent. In the early 19th, a British explorer named Stanfield led one of the first major expeditions to locate the lost army. With a team of Egyptian guides and camels loaded with supplies, he set out toward the Siwa oasis. Locals warned him of cursed ground and sudden storms. For weeks, the expedition combed the desert. They discovered fragments of pottery, arrowheads, and what appeared to be a rusted sword blade, but no trace of the great army. Disappointed, Field returned with only cryptic notes and strange drawings of ancient carvings half buried in the dunes. Decades later, in the 1980s, two Italian brothers geologists, Angelo and Alfredo Castiglione, conducted their own mission in the western desert. Their team uncovered what they claimed were Persian-style bronze arrowheads, remains of horse bits, and scattered bones that had been bleached by centuries of exposure. They believed they had found the site of the vanished army's final stand. But their findings were controversial. The bones were too few, the distribution too sparse. Some accused them of misidentifying Roman or later remains, Others suggested the artifacts had been planted or The mystery continued to inspire wild theories. One suggested that the army fell into a massive, undetected sinkhole created by ancient underground rivers. Another speculated that volcanic activity triggered a collapse of the desert floor. Others, driven by fringe science and mysticism, claimed the soldiers were transported to another dimension or erased from time by ancient gods angered by their mission. Though these ideas were mocked in academia, they spread rapidly through books, television, and online forums. Some theorists pointed to a conspiracy. They argued that the army never went missing, but was betrayed and massacred by local tribes, their remains buried or burned. According to this version, the Persian court covered up the truth, inventing the sandstorm story to preserve the illusion of control. Yet, even if this were true, the complete lack of remains, no armor, coins, weapons in known tribal lands, made it hard to believe. The Egyptian government, wary of treasure hunters and pseudo-archaeology, restricted exploration in the region. Permits were denied. Access was limited. Some said it was to protect archaeological integrity. Others whispered it was to keep the truth hidden, that perhaps something had been found, something too shocking or dangerous to reveal. Still, the desert caught. In the 2000s, satellite imaging once again brought hope. New technology revealed unusual formations buried beneath the sand. Long, straight lines, circles, and oddly symmetrical disturbances. A multinational team of archaeologists launched a privately funded expedition, aiming to drill below the dunes. But once again, they were met with disaster. Their communications failed, their drilling equipment collapsed. 2 members of the team fell ill with sudden, inexplicable symptoms. Superstition returned. Whispers of curses and ancient wrath filled the desert winds once again. Then, a breakthrough came. A local Bedouin guide, who had grown up hearing the stories of the ghost army, led researchers to a remote area far from any previous searcher zone. They found stone markers partially buried by sand, arranged in a strange geometric pattern. Beneath them, using ground-penetrating radar, they detected an underground void. Long and narrow, like a tunnel or collapsed trench. When they tried to dig, they were forced back by blistering winds and unbearable heat. Even in the modern age, the desert seemed unwilling to give up its dead. The discoveries near the strange geometric stones electrified the archaeological world. Despite the setbacks, the site was now marked on every map of historical interest, and whispers grew louder that the truth, whatever it was, lay just beneath the surface. A new international research team was formed, composed of experts in ancient languages, desert climatology, geology, and military history. They returned to the site during the winter months, hoping for more stable conditions. This time, they came prepared with portable shelters, filtered air systems, and advanced drilling equipment. Day after day, they slowly uncovered layers of ancient debris, fragments of bronze armor, Persian-style arrowheads, small clay tablets marked with unfamiliar symbols, and twisted remnants of what might have been ancient tents or carts. All pointed to one conclusion. A large force had indeed once been here. Then, deeper beneath the sand, they unearthed a massive trench, too uniform to be natural. Inside were charred bones, burnt wood, melted metal. It appeared that a great fire had swept through a confined space. Some theorized the soldiers may have taken shelter underground to escape a sandstorm and accidentally sealed their own fate in an oxygen-starved environment. Others believed they were deliberately buried, either as an act of mass execution or a final funeral rite. But the most disturbing find came days later. A nearly intact stone stele, partially shattered but bearing inscriptions. After weeks of translation, the meaning became clear. It was a warning, etched in Old Persian, Egyptian, and an unknown script. It read, "Let no king defy the gods of wind and stone. They guard the path to Siwa. Those who tread uninvited shall vanish into silence." The stele reignited ancient fears. Was it merely a mythic flourish meant to warn invaders, or a literal threat from a forgotten civilization? Had Cambyses I's army disturbed something older than themselves, something sacred, hidden, and protected? News of the discovery was tightly controlled. Only portions of the findings were made public. The trench was real. The bones sent to private labs. The stele quietly placed in a museum archive with no official record. The lead archaeologist retired shortly after, refusing interviews. A few researchers spoke anonymously, claiming the truth was being suppressed, that more than artifacts had been found, and so the mystery lives on. The tale of the lost army minus 50,000 men who vanished in the desert remains one of history's most compelling enigmas. Was it nature's fury, divine punishment, or human betrayal? Despite evidence, no answer is complete. The desert gives just enough to keep us looking, but never enough to satisfy. Perhaps the sands do not hide the truth. Perhaps they are the truth. And beneath them, the army still waits, silent, buried, and forgotten by all but the wind.